Hello, and welcome to Virtual Investor Conferences. My name is John Viglotti. On behalf of OTC Markets, we're very pleased you joined us for the first presentation from our Small Cap Growth Conference. And that presentation comes from Aquafil. But before I introduce our speaker, a few points to note. Please submit your questions in the question box to the left of the slides. And if you're interested in scheduling a meeting with Aquafil, please click on the Meetings tab found on the left navigation bar. You'll be able to view the company's availability and submit a meeting request. On a final note, all of today's presentations will be recorded and available for 24/7 replay. At this point, I'm very pleased to welcome Giulio Bonazzi. He's the Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of Aquafil, which trades on the OTCQX Best Market under the symbol ECNLF and on the Euronext Milan under the symbol ECNL. Welcome, Giulio.
Thank you, John. Thank you for having me. And good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is your captain speaking from this digital deck. My name is Giulio Bonazzi, and for the next 20 minutes or so, I have the pleasure to explain why the magazine Fortune has nominated Aquafil has in the Change the World list because companies to watch, Burberry and Prada, at that time launched collections featuring ECONYL. Well, 2019 really sounds like 1 century ago. So let's, for the time being, trying to understand what Aquafil does in particular. So our core business is practically making fibers, especially nylon fibers, and nylon sits among the nylon family. And we do believe that this incredible molecule is the molecule of the future. We operate in 3 areas of business: carpet yarn, where we are world leader. We service all the most prestigious carpet companies around the globe. Textile yarn, about 20% of our global turnover. It means servicing knitwear fabrics or woven fabrics that are then going for the apparel business, swimwear or sportswear applications. And we have a comeback because we were present in this business, polymers for industrial molding until 2013. Then we sold the business. We were locked up for a certain number of years. And now finally, we are back to this incredible sector, which will help us to boost, especially our European growth. Important is that you know that Aquafil is a global company, having also a turnover which is, I would say, rightly split between different regions, which of course these days is helping a lot to average the problem that we are suffering in Europe for the crisis coming from the terrible war between Russia and Ukraine. So the European turnover is counting for around 55% of our turnover. USA 29 has been a very remarkable year, 2022, for our American subsidiary, and Asia Pacific for 16%. Well, we started as a family business and we became a global sustainability champion, operating 20 manufacturing plants in 9 countries in 3 continents, about 2,800 associates, with a turnover for the first 9 months of around 530 million euros, around the same in US dollars. It's easy these days to convert euro and US, and 73 million euros of EBITDA margin. And 43.5% of our fiber turnover is deriving from ECONYL fiber. This is to explain the countries where we are operating. Of course, Italy, which together with Slovenia, which is a small, tiny country resulting from the disgregation of former Yugoslavia, are the 2 pillars of our European and global platform. Then we are in Croatia. In UK, we are present in Scotland, which is particularly important, especially after Brexit, to give a good service to the local UK customers. We are growing the number of operations and presence in the United States. We started in Cartersville, Georgia, which is the home of carpet, between Dalton and Calhoun. And we are in Arizona, Phoenix. Then we went to North Carolina. And then lately we opened 3 carpet collection centers in California, in San Diego, Chula Vista, and Anaheim near Los Angeles. In Asia, we are present in Thailand, Japan, and China. And the newly born operation is based in Chile, in the city of Puerto Montt, which will be used for the collection of fishing nets from Chilean Patagonia. What is the vision of our company? Well, we try really to go and making better products, designing better to do better through a continuous conscious innovations, trying not only to produce performing products, but also products that are reducing the impact at a global scale. And we try to do this, setting new standards, getting out of our comfort zone through a collaboration inside and outside our company. So we are thoughtful listeners and we are down to earth visionaries. And we envision the goal of a sustainable future to achieve it, driven by the responsibility to change the world one choice at a time, because what we are doing, believe me, it's really challenging. And the final aim is to come full circle and create our story. Well, circularity. As you know, these days you can hear a lot about sustainability, circularity, recycling, being green, and so on and so forth. But I'd like to take this slide, which is coming from the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, in order to give an explanation and definitions, which is quite important. Easy to say what is the linear economy, the classical take, make, and dispose. But between recycling and circularity, there is a big difference because when you recycle, you normally downgrade waste and you can recycle once or twice, making something which is less performing and ending one day or the other into the garbage can. So you trash your product one day or the other. The classical example is when you transform bottles into fibers, fibers into fabrics, and finally these fabrics are finishing into the landfills. Well, in the case of circular economy, you start from picking the right ingredients, thinking with the end in mind, designing products that at the end they are lasting longer, they can be reused, they can be repaired, and just at the end can be recycled, regaining all the beautiful part of the raw materials that are making these products. So you don't create any garbage at the end of the usage. But if I have to speak how the company is trying to develop this vision, well, of course, the most important asset we are having is our management team, which is the best in the world, and a group of incredibly talented young persons that are continuously developing our technology. But if I have to go and tell you more, how can I say, in detail, I tell you that we are operating a very successful business model through proprietary technology with continuous research and development innovation, manufacturing, and operational excellence focused on high-end segment of the market. We are pioneer of circularity with the ECONYL regeneration system, and I come back later on to explain what ECONYL is, producing sustainable fibers and polymers from nylon 6 waste. And we are a global company, but producing locally. So we try to operate within the continent to supply the internal domestic demand. So we really don't delocalize or move personnel from one side to the other or production from one country to the other, just, I don't know, for the labor cost or for other reasons. We try to produce in Europe what we sell in Europe, in US what we are selling to the North American market, and in Asia what we are selling into the Asia Pacific market. What is the ECONYL regeneration system? Well, ECONYL is a beautiful fiber, nylon 6 fiber, but with a very different story because it comes entirely from waste. So no fossil oil is used. So we don't take any resources from the planet other than avoiding that waste is ending into landfills or into incineration. And at least 50% of this waste must come from post-consumer products. So it's not what was previously already recycled, that was easy and was not necessary to develop with such a complicated technology, but we are recycling what was not previously recycled. We are using a technology and developing a technology that is giving infinite possibilities, because you give me back your carpet and I can give you the fabric for making a swimwear. You give me back your swimsuit and I can give you the pellet for molding a beautiful pair of sunglasses, and so on and so forth forever. So we practically recover almost 100% of the value of the raw material which is inside, without giving any limitation to engineers or designers. And this, in the past years, has enjoyed a growth rate in average more than 2.5 times higher than a traditional fiber. The process consists in 4 steps. The first one, which is pretty complicated, is to rescue waste, because normally you know where your products are being sold, but you don't know where they finish to be used. So, for example, we have to go to Norway for collecting fishing nets from the local salmon fish farming industry. We are now going to Chile for the same reason, or we go to California for collection of carpet. And this, of course, it means also that Aquafil is developing a new business area, is becoming also a waste management company. The second step is the regeneration. We like to call it regeneration and not recycling, because we are not simply remelting the plastic or fiber waste that we are collecting, but we are returning to the original building block. So we go back one step in the chemical chain, we make a purification, and we are ready to remake, here is the third step, the polymers and the fibers with the highest degree of freedom. And then at the end, customers can reimagine their products in a way that, if they like, they can make zero waste and they can be also recovered at the end of use. Wasting, as I said, we are collecting a lot of waste. Something like 1,000 of tons of nets and plastic scraps that were not previously recycled. Also waste from the process of our customers, trying really to create a zero waste products. And we deliver solutions that are becoming the flagship ingredients of the most iconic fashion brands like Gucci, Prada, Burberry, Stella McCartney, and 2,000 others spread all over the world, or for the most prestigious carpet companies, for the most prestigious projects. Or you can see this beautiful chair is a multi-award winning chair developed by a New Zealand customer as a pellet for the injection molding. So we are not promising that one day we will deliver solution. Today we have a solution. We have also set some environmental targets for the next 3 years, which are the three most important 60% of revenues generated by fibers from ECONYL branded products, from the 43 that you have seen short ago, 35,000 tons of post-consumer waste collected annually, something like 75 million pounds on a yearly basis, and reducing water consumption by 30% in comparison with 2018, which is particularly, challenging, because Aquafil is already having and using the most advanced technical and technological solutions. We like to say that our path to sustainability consists of five steps. The first one is rethinking products in a circular perspective. Through innovation, making them more circular, giving new life to waste materials in an infinite cycle. Eco-design is the very important action that we have to take together with our customers. Protecting the environment, producing consciously and responsibly, pursuing continuous improvement and excellence in every aspect. Of course, attention to the well-being of the people, because we must apply the same social standard wherever we go around the world, and being careful that all our people and the stakeholders that are living near side our operations are having advantages because of our presence and not disadvantages. Sharing responsibility along the supply chain, because of course we are just one step of the supply chain. If you want to make a carpet, you don't need only nylon, but you need also other ingredients. And you need, of course, carpet makers that are also coming together with us with the idea of changing the way they are making carpets for making them circular. And of course, supporting local communities. We have several projects around the world, depending by the area where we are present. For example, in China, we are in the city of Jiaxing, and we have a project that is going on and on now since more than 10 years for helping local women for carrying their, how you say, inspection for the breast cancer, which is something that is quite sad and difficult in that part for the poor people. This is just to make an example. Important also that I give you some flavor of the incredible results that we have already achieved, because the newcomers in this field are now pledging from, I don't know, 2022 to 2030, 2040, and 2050. But Aquafil has been working on this sustainable revolution already since 2005. And so we have already achieved big results from 2005 until 2021. But in the last, for example, 5 years, we have reduced our Scope 1 and Scope 2 emissions by more than 64%. Please note that when you are using ECONYL, you are using a fiber which has an environmental footprint, CO2 emissions, which is more than 90% lower than a conventional nylon fiber, 90. Coincidence. Also, we have recovered 90% of the waste which is resulting from our operations. So we recycled 90% of the waste. We are aiming, of course, to go to 100% shortly. From the social standpoint, I like to remember that in the last 2 years, we increased 100% the number of female executives, and we increased 92% of hours of training delivered in comparison with 2020. We approved a new engagement policy, and we acquired several new certifications in our Slovene facility, but not only. Now, let's come with a little bit more, how can I say, prosaic part of the presentation, financial results, which are, of course, very good, as you can imagine. Actually, despite the difficult period that we suffered because of COVID, post-COVID, and then the war, the energy crisis in Europe, shortage of transportation, difficulty in having logistical support, and the high inflation that, the world has been confronted with. In the first 9 months of 2022, we were able to increase our revenues by 26.4% in comparison with the previous year. And EBITDA followed, so plus 23%. And this was also thanks to the revenues growth of the ECONYL products that have increased by 64.5%. So now we are at 43.5. 1 year ago, we were around 37% as a percentage, and the value has been much bigger than that. Also, we have incorporated our new company in Chile. That is making me very happy, because we will contribute the local fish farming industry, which is the second largest in the world, from preventing that nets and other plastic debris will be spread around the environment. And also, we have opened our first benefit company, which we called Blue Loop Limited Liability, for selling ECONYL branded products directly online on our e-shop. Here is a chart of how revenues, EBITDA, net profit has moved from 2021 to 2022. And you can see the first 9 months that I have just mentioned. I can add that the net profit moved from 14.3 million to 26.1, so plus 83.3%. In the third quarter, we kept this trajectory, moving revenues from 144 to 179, plus 23.7, and EBITDA from 20.2 to 21.7. This and profit from 5.3 to 8.5. These results were possible because the North American macro area has got its best year ever, despite, of course, EMEA suffered on the other side, on the contrary, because of the high energy prices, a lower demand during the first 9 months of 2022. Of course, very good sales mix. I just referred about the ECONYL products, and a big repricing because we had to recover all the higher cost of raw material and energy and inflation that we have suffered during the end of 2021 and the first 9 months of 2022. Oh, not so good the net financial position, which of course, as you can imagine, because of repricing and high unitary cost, but also for other reasons that I will mention later on, have increased from 179 to 231, but always keeping a very comfortable leverage, a very comfortable ratio that was 2.49 and now is at 2.70. But I pledge that we will reduce this net financial position during the first month of the next year. Here is another form of showing the results, where you have also the EBT and the net result, the EBIT and all the numbers. I let you reading these numbers because I don't want to repeat them, but let me speak shortly about the reason of the increase of the net working capital. The net working capital growth was not driven by higher inventory from finished products. We didn't increase, and we are not increasing because we believe that is insane to increase finished product inventory during a high cost period, just like the one that we are having. But it went up basically because, of course, we have a higher unitary cost of the raw material, and we increased the raw material quantities on stock. This in order to avoid any loss of production due to shortage from the supply chain, due to logistical constraints, or due to other problems that, for example, the automotive industry has suffered, that we can quickly let's say, recover during the first month of 2023. As a matter of fact, we are already in the trajectory of reducing it, and it will be shown during the first and the second quarter of 2023. So nothing, let's say, out of control, but everything under control. Well, let me finish with my presentation, and I will be more than happy to answer to your questions. The first question that I would like to answer is, do you have any IP protections for your ECONYL regeneration system? The answer is yes. We have several patents, and we are continuing to filing new patents for new inventions that we are developing. But also, when possible, we don't publish any patent because, for every engineer, when you start an R&D project, the first thing they do is to go on Google, download every patent, reading them, and then starting to learn from the others, from what the others have published. So when, it is not necessary, we don't even patent, but we try to keep it very secret within our human resources. Can you speak to the competitive environment for your products? Which geographic area do you see having the greatest opportunity for growth? Well, unfortunately, Europe is the area where the growth rate is lower. This because of a number of reasons, lack of growth of population, aging of population, and of course, because here people have already plenty of stuff in their homes. So it's easier to see a growth in the new areas, but including the United States, where we have enjoyed also an exit from one large competitor. But in US, the market is still growing and we're still having a lot of opportunities. And Asia Pacific is another area where we count to grow a lot. In Europe, we count to grow on engineering polymer business, which is the comeback that I mentioned before. Impressive year-over-year growth. Do you see a similar growth rate for 2023? No, I don't think that we will grow of another 25 or 26%, but of course the intention is to keep growing, maybe at a more normal level. The big inflation of raw material is now at the end, so we are seeing prices stabilizing, so we will not have the effect of the repricing in terms of higher selling prices. What are your growth drivers for the next years? Well, of course, ECONYL and all the inventions that we are bringing to the market for making the products of our clients circular and recyclable. And of course, the engineering polymer business, where also ECONYL will play an important role. Please remember that nylon as a plastic is a very performing product and is still replacing a lot of metal parts in the automotive or in other applications. And also consider that in Europe, because of the big change of the legislation, the fact of having a recycled content can really give you a big boost because you will avoid the so-called plastic tax. At what stage is the project started with Genomatica? Well, if ECONYL is the product of today and of tomorrow, the one with Genomatica, which is of making the very same molecule, the monomer, out of plant renewable raw material, it is the project of maybe the next 5 to 10 years. The intention is to create a molecule, nylon 6, that can become from oil, traditionally, can come from our depolymerization and perfect recycling methodology, but can also come from plant renewable, because in this way we will create a real superiority of the molecule, creating something that will have the best and the lowest accountability of raw materials for the planet. This is possible only for few molecules that can be coming from plant renewable and that can be recycled with our depolymerization technology. I don't know if there are other questions. I don't see. But guys, be free to ask me whatever you like, or of course to get in touch with us and with our people, both in US and Europe, for whatever curiosity, necessity of getting information, and possibly, of course, we would like to come and visit you shortly. If there are no other questions, I want to thank you all for being here with us, and I hope that you can enjoy a great rest of the day. Thank you.